When I tell you that absolutely nothing can stop what God has planned for you, I 100% mean it. And to show you, I'm going to tell you a little story. If you guys have read Genesis 38 through 50, then you guys are familiar with this story. But if you're not, let me just recap it. So Jacob had 12 sons, but at the time of this story, he only had 11 because Joseph was the youngest and Benjamin wasn't born yet. Out of his 11 sons at the time, Joseph was the youngest, being only 17, and he was also the most favored. He was favored by Jacob. And there was a particular time, remember this because this is important, there was a particular time Jacob gifts all of his sons garments, but he gifts Joseph a really colorful garment, and his other sons are looking at this like, what is going on here? And they're super jealous. They're looking at this. They already know that he favors Joseph, and they're super jealous about this. So his father calls upon Joseph, and he's like, hey, are you not feeding the flocks with your brothers? And he was like, no, I'm just here. And then he was like, okay, come, I'm going to go send you to check on them. And then I'm going to send you to check on the flock. And then come back and tell me how they are. So he sent him out to the valley of Hebron, which is where he thought they were feeding the flock and where they were doing this errand at. And then a man finds him kind of like wandering around looking kind of lost. And then he's like, hey, like, what are you looking for? And Joseph goes, I'm looking for my brothers. And the man goes, well, I overheard them that they're going to Dothan. So Joseph goes, he gets up, and then he starts making his way to Dothan. So he makes his way to Dothan, and he gets there. And even though he's a ways away from his brothers already kind of see him. And in them having him in their line of sight, they kind of devise a plan amongst themselves, kind of going back and forth, whether or not to him. And Reuben goes, actually, this is not a good plan. We don't want any blood on our hands. So let's just throw him in this ditch and let the animals get at him. So like, okay, yeah, this is a good plan. Everybody's like, yeah, this is a good plan. We're not going to be actually involved in it. So we're just going to throw him in here and let them devour him. So then when Joseph gets to them, they kind of overtake him and they rip off this colorful garment that his dad had gifted him, and they throw him in this ditch. So then when Joseph gets to them, they kind of overtake him and they rip off this colorful garment that his dad had gifted him, and they throw him in this ditch. And after they throw him in this ditch, they just start eating. So as they're eating their food, they see Ishmaelites, which are merchants, in the distance. And Reuben goes, actually, guys, why just waste him and let the animals him when we can actually just sell him? And everybody's like, yeah, that's an even better plan. We can get some money out of it. So when the Ishmaelites come closer, they sell him off for silver. His own brothers. So then what they do next is so insane. So they take the tunic or the garment that they had taken off of Joseph after they sell him off. They take that garment, they slaughter some of the sheep, and then they dip the tunic into the blood of the sheep. Yeah. And then they take that back to their father and say he was, eaten by animals. And obviously his father's grieving. His father's a mess. And everybody's trying to comfort him, but he's like unconsolable. And yeah, just wait. So a little bit of a fast forward. After his brothers sell him off to slavery, fast forward, he gets sold again. And then he also gets accused of SAing Pitar's wife. So he gets thrown in jail. Mind you, she was the one that did it to him. But anyway, he gets thrown in jail because of his integrity and his devotion and just his ability to stand out pretty much anywhere he went. He actually got promoted to, and while he's in the prison, God says, listen, I have your back, rely on me. This is not word for word, but I have your back, rely on me. Keep instilling that faith that you've been instilling in yourself through all of this adversity, and you will not fail. And he doesn't fail. He runs the prison. There's more. So another thing that I also left out to say in the beginning, but he was also able to interpret dreams, which his father kind of kept in the back of his head, but he was like a little iffy about it. And then his brothers also envied because he had a dream before that he was kind of going to be the ruler over everybody, his brothers and his dad alike. So these dreams, they kind of wrote him off, but Joseph believed in them because he felt like they were more than just dreams. They were God's callings. So he believed in them. So the Pharaoh, which was the ruler of Egypt, he was looking for someone to be able to interpret his dreams, right? And then he hears of this man that's in this prison, that's running, the prison, and he also has the ability to interpret dreams. So he was like, okay, bring me that man. And then Joseph was able to correctly interpret his dreams, but not only that, he was also an upstanding guy. And he had a plan on how to face famine and how to face them for the next 7 years. And the Pharaoh was like, you know what? I pick him. But the Pharaoh didn't pick him because he was smart, because he was naturally like just driven. He didn't pick him for those reasons. He picked him because he saw God working through him. Stay with me now. Now, while Egypt is in these 7 years of famine, his brothers and their families all travel to where Joseph is. And then Joseph is looking at his brothers and his family, recognizing them, but they're not quite recognizing him yet. And when they do, they're kind of flabbergasted. Obviously, they would be, because what? We sold you to slavery and you're like the ruler now? And this is what he said to them: do not be afraid, for I am in the place of God. But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about as it is this day, to save people alive. So he told them everything had a purpose. And that's why I'm here today.